today we'll be beginning with the example session of the chapter elections. We are done with the theory session, right? Obviously, I mean, we don't get into the example session unless we are done with the theory session, right? So, right, so as usual, before we get into any example session, what we do usually is we go through what we've studied in theory, right? So, we'll just have a quick skim through the theory. Right, so first we studied about the election commission, certain points, then we looked at the powers and functions of the election commission. After that was done, we moved on to the election commissioner, okay, and then we went through certain points under the election commissioner also, and then we looked at the functions of election commission. After that, we looked at the electronic voting machine and something called the VVPAT, or the voter verified paper audit trail, okay. And then we moved on to political parties in the election commission, and then we looked at national/state parties, and then we looked at the delimitation commission, and then we looked at the qualification of voters, what are the qualifications for voters in order to be able to vote, and then we looked at the none of the above vote, or the nota. Then we looked at prohibition of campaign during the last 48 hours, okay. Campaign being prohibited in the last 48 hours, and then we looked at other constitutional and non-constitutional bodies. So after all of that, now we'll be beginning with our examples. So let's just look at the very first example. Who appoints the Chief Election Commissioner in India? You have four options: President of India, Prime Minister of India, Chief Justice of India, Election Commission. Who appoints the Chief Election Commissioner in India? As usual, I'll give you some time to think about the answer. So your time starts now. Right. So the answer to this question is President of India. So I said this when we studied this in the notes, that when it comes to appointing people under certain positions, may it be the Prime Minister, may it be somebody in Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, or somebody at the position like that of the Chief Election Commissioner, usually the one who does it is the President. Okay, appointing people to certain positions at the government, at the center level or at the level of the government, it's usually done by the President. Where did we study it? Was it here? Yes. The President of India appoints the Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioners. Okay. So the President of India is the one who appoints these people. Okay. Now, moving on. Which article of the Indian Constitution establishes the Election Commission? Article 324, Article 356, Article 370, Article 368. Your time starts now. Right, so the answer is Article 324. This was also something that we studied. Which article of the Indian Constitution establishes it? Article 324 here. Okay, so election comes under Article 324. Just sort of keep that in mind. What other articles have we studied in this chapter? I think we studied some parts when we studied about the municipalities, yeah. So, municipalities, elections in panchayats and municipalities are mentioned under Article 243K and 243ZA respectively. We studied that. Other than that, I think we haven't studied any other articles in this chapter. I think there is just one article that I'm missing out on. But I mean, okay, if we come across it at some point, we'll discuss it. But yeah, just try to remember if there is any other article. Oh yes, this one, the Delimitation Commission. It is recommended under Article 82 of the Constitution. Delimitation Commission. Yeah, I think that's all the articles that we have studied in this chapter. Right. Okay. So those are some articles that we had in this chapter. Moving on. What is the primary objective of the, okay, it's something that we saw like right now. What is the primary objective of the Delimitation Commission? Conducting elections, voter registration, boundary demarcation of constituencies, political party registration. Okay, conducting elections, voter registration, boundary demarcation of constituencies, political party registration. What is the primary objective is the question. Your time starts now. The primary objective of the Delimitation Commission. It's actually pretty easy if you remember what it was about, but yeah. Okay, so the answer to this question is boundary demarcation of constituencies. I mean, that's the whole thing that the Delimitation Commission is supposed to do, right? Demarcate constituencies, you know, it might alter constituencies, merge constituencies, or, you know, just create a new constituency altogether. All of this comes under the work of the Delimitation Commission. So what about these? Like conducting election, voter registration, political party registration. All of these come under the objective of what? Come under the objective of X. If that's the answer, what is X? What does this come under? It's pretty simple now. What does this come under? I'll just give you some time. Right. So all of these come under the work of the Election Commission. That's the whole commission the primary commission we learned about today, right? Today as in the chapter elections, right? So conducting elections, voter registration, political party registration comes under the work of the Election Commission, okay? Moving on, what is the minimum age requirement for voters in India? We need to know the minimum age requirement for voters in India. 16 years, 18 years, 21 years, 25 years. Pretty simple. Your time starts now. Right, so the answer is 18 years. The minimum age requirement is 18 years. Now, I'll ask you another question. So, the current minimum age requirement is 18 years. That's fine. But initially, the minimum age requirement was something else. You need to tell me two things. What was the initial age requirement? It was X years. What was it initially? And under which Constitutional Amendment Act was it changed to 18 years? Okay, under which Constitutional Amendment Act was it changed to 18 years? So, which act are we talking about? Like there's a number, right? So, two questions. What was the age initially and under which Constitutional Amendment Act was it changed to 18 years? Your time starts now. Right. So, the initial age was 21 years. It was changed under, I believe, the 61st Constitutional Amendment Act. We will check it. Right. Okay. So, it was as per Currently, the age is 81 years of age or older. Okay, obviously, it's 81 or older. The voting age was reduced from 21 to 18 with the 61st Amendment to the Constitution, and this happened in 1988. Okay, so it was done as per the 61st Constitutional Amendment Act. When? Which year? 1988. Okay, so we have that answer with us. Right, moving on. Which amendment to the Indian Constitution reduced the voting age from 21 to 18 years? 42nd Amendment, 44th Amendment, 61st Amendment, 73rd Amendment. Okay, this is the question that I asked just like literally right now. So you know that the answer is the 61st Amendment. Okay, so I basically asked a question that you are just about to have. That's nice. Anyway, moving on. What is the purpose of the nota option in elections? Okay, nota option in elections. What is the purpose? It disqualifies candidates from contesting future elections. It counts as a vote for the candidate with the lowest votes. It allows voters to express their dissatisfaction with the available candidates. It ensures automatic re-elections in case of a majority of nota votes. Your time starts now. Right, so the question is the purpose of the nota option. You had 4 options: disqualifying candidates, counts as a vote for the candidate with the lowest vote, allows voters to express their dissatisfaction, automatic re-elections in case of a majority of nota votes. Only one option is the right one, and that's this: allows voters to express their dissatisfaction with the available candidates. Before that, what is the full form of nota? That's another question I have for you. What is the full form of nota? Your time starts now. Alright, so let's go to nota notes. Not exactly sure where we studied it. Yes, here. None of the above. That's the full form of nota. Okay, the none of the above option. It's you have in when you have optional questions, you see it, right? So there'll be A, certain option B, C, and sometimes D will be none of these, or D might be none of the above. So that this is what essentially nota is, and if you know the meaning, you can actually get the answer. It's to provide voters with the choice of expressing their dissatisfaction with the available candidates in an election. Okay, it's to give voters this choice to express their dissatisfaction with the available candidates in the election. That's what we mean by none of the above vote. Now, what about the other points that were given under nota? Do these hold? Okay, let's see. What were the other options? It disqualifies candidates from contesting future elections. No, it does not do anything to the candidates. It's just for voters to express their disapproval. It counts as a vote for the candidates with the lowest votes. No, that makes absolutely no sense, right? It ensures automatic re-elections in case of a majority of nota votes. That doesn't happen either. Okay, so it's not that. Moving on. Right. Which body issues the model code of conduct for elections in India? Okay, question is, which body issues the model code of conduct? You have the Election Commission, you have the President of India, you have the Parliament, you have the Supreme Court. Once you study this chapter, this answer becomes very easy. But when you see it in the final exam, and when you give the exam, you will have studied about President, Parliament, Supreme Court, then there is a possibility that you will get confused with whom this falls under. But for now, this should be a pretty easy answer. Your time starts now. As I say always, the time that I give you might not be enough, and I get that, I understand that. It's just that, I just cannot give a lot of time per question, right? So what you can do, since this is a recorded class, feel free to just pause. So the reason I say your time starts now is that I want you to think of the answer before I say the answer. So I'm giving you time so that you get it. Now, if you feel that the time is not enough, and it might not be in a lot of cases, feel free to just pause the video, okay? Which body issues the model code of conduct for elections in India? Right. So the answer is Election Commission. Okay, it's not any of these. The Model Code of Conduct. So the Election Commission has a lot of things to do, right? Okay. Since the Election Commission has a lot of things to do, name 3 other things other than the Model Code of Conduct that the Election Commission does. 3 other functions of the Election Commission. We had learned a lot of functions of the Election Commission. I want you to sit there, sit or stand or whatever you're doing. Name 3 functions of the Election Commission. Your time starts now. Now for this you might need more time, so just feel free to pause the video. Okay, I'll just give you some time and then I'll have to speak. Right, so I'll show you. We'll go to the functions. There are a lot of functions. So one obvious function that you can always say is conducting elections, right? You get that from the name itself. Obviously they need to conduct elections, and then just think, okay, if elections need to be conducted, they need to be people who vote. What are the qualifications? What do the voters have to do? Voters have to register. So then voter registration, who conducts it? Again, Election Commission. So voter registration. Then delimitation. This is what we had studied as a separate topic. So you have that also. Delimitation of constituencies. Model Code of Conduct, we studied it just now. Then just think, okay, who is contesting in the elections? Political parties. Do political parties need to register? Yes. Who does this? Again, the Election Commission, political party registration. And now when the political parties are contesting, what all problems could you have? So one, you have the model code of conduct, model code of conduct to, make sure that they behave well, but you also need to keep monitoring it, right? So election monitoring is another case. Now what if so we have all of these laws, but you need to make sure that you revise these laws as and when needed. So for that, electoral reforms. So that's basically all of the points that you have. Okay, conducting elections, voter registration, delimitation of constituencies, model code of conduct, political party registration, election monitoring, electoral reforms. Now this is not something that you need to sit and learn by heart, right? If you just think, like I said, if you think in the sense of okay, what all should an election commission do, what all has to be done in case of elections, it's just very easy to get this answer. Okay, moving on. Which document serves as a proof of a person's eligibility to vote in elections? Voter ID card, Aadhaar card, passport, PAN card. This is a very easy question. Your time starts now. So the answer is voter ID card. Okay, that's I mean you get it from. So what does ID mean? When we say ID, what does it mean? It means identification. So here basically we are saying that it is a voter identification card. What does it mean? It is to identify a voter, to check if a person is actually eligible to vote in the elections. That's the whole purpose. Now if the voter ID card was not the document used, then why would you even need a voter ID card, right? So it's a pretty straightforward answer. Now, where had we studied this? I think somewhere here. Yeah, electoral photo. So this electoral photo identity card is basically what we call a voter ID card. This is the official name, but what people call it is usually the voter ID card. Okay, so EPIC or electoral photo identity card is the proof of the eligibility to vote. Okay, moving on. How is the Chief Election Commissioner of India selected? By the President of India, by the Prime Minister of India, by the Supreme Court of India, by the Election Commission. Your time starts now. How is the Chief Election Commissioner of India selected? This is actually a question that we saw some time ago. It's Right. So it's actually the question that you had here, who appoints the chief election commissioner in India? It's basically the same question written in a different manner. So this answer would be the same, right? President of India. That's what I was thinking. I've seen the similar question somewhere. It's basically the same question framed in a different way. So then we can move on. What is the purpose of the VVPAT, voter verified paper audit trail? It allows voters to verify their vote before it is recorded electronically. It provides a physical paper trail of the votes cast electronically. It ensures a secrecy of voting by encrypting voter information. It is used to allocate party symbols to political parties. This might be a bit of a difficult question compared to the questions under elections, but yeah, we'll see. I think you can do it. Your time starts now. Okay, so the answer to this question is it provides a physical paper trail of the votes cast electronically. Okay, so what do we mean by the word trail in the first place? Basically, see, if you like for example, you walk, okay, on a beach, and your footprints are left behind, right? So when you walk, your footprints will be left behind, right? So that's like an example of trail. Basically, something that is left behind of something that you have already done. You have already walked. The footprints that are left behind are what we mean by trail. I mean, that's just an example. So here also what we mean is basically a paper audit trail, as in something in a paper form of something that you have already done, and that is verified by the voter. Okay, so that's what we mean when we refer to VVPAT. It's basically of something we've already done. So this is wrong. It allows voters to verify their vote before it is recorded electronically. Not exactly, because you're not. I mean, it's you do it after it is recorded. It provides a physical paper trail of the votes cast electronically. That is the correct answer. It ensures secrecy of voting by encrypting voter information. No, this is done in the EVA. It is used to allocate party symbols to political parties. No, that is done earlier. That is not done during voting, right? So, where had we studied about the VVPAT? This is NOTA, delimitation process. I think we studied about the VVPAT before this. Constitutional bodies, prohibition, NOTA, qualification of voters, delimitation, national. Yeah, voter verified paper audit trail, right? So basically, to provide physical paper trail of the voters cast votes cast electronically. So like I said, if you just look at the meaning, you'll understand. Trail is something that is left behind of something you've already done. So voting is something that you've already done, and you get the paper form of what you've already done, and voter verified. Matlab, it means the voter can verify what has been done, right? So that's all that we mean by the voter verified paper audit trail. Moving on. Which body is responsible for the delimitation of constituencies in India? Very easy question. Okay, Election Commission, Delimitation Commission, Parliament, President of India. Your time starts now. The answer is Delimitation Commission. Why? Because delimitation of constituencies is the work of the Delimitation Commission, right? Okay, now imagine your friend is coming to you and says, "Yeah, I studied about Delimitation Commission. I have no idea what this is. Can you explain to me what this is?" Imagine how you would explain to your friend what a delimitation commission is, and just say it out loud. I won't be able to hear it, but I want you to explain delimitation commission the way you would to a person that knows nothing about it. Your time starts now. Right. This time might not be enough. Feel free to pause the video. I'll just take you to the notes. But yeah, just pause the video if you have not explained already. Basically, the point is that, see, people get to vote for representatives from their constituencies. Okay, constituency is basically a stretch of area of land. So you have, like for example, you have state. State is a particular area, right? And then you have district. So a constituency is something smaller than this. Now, a state might have multiple constituencies. A district might also have multiple constituencies. Now, this constituency that is formed, so people get to choose for a leader from this constituency, okay? The thing is, the election commission divides, so constituencies, you have states and districts in India are clearly marked. Constituencies are not, I mean, it is defined now, but you can keep changing it. So if you feel like a constituency is basically this area, if you feel like, for example, you have a very huge area, okay, constituency, and you feel like this is too much to be considered a constituency, let's split this up into two areas. Okay, that is one case where you sort of bring where the delimitation commission works. They might split up constituencies, or the delimitation commission feels, okay, there are two constituencies which are too small, let's just merge these together, and then treats us as one constituency. So what happens? The people in this side of the place and this side of the place vote for the same constituency. Okay, this is what happens when they merge the constituencies, or they might make a whole new constituency. So here, when they split it, they might sort of make it two different constituencies, give this the initial old constituency's name and give this a whole new name. Okay, so why is this done? Because a constituency, voters vote from a constituency for a representative, right? So they might feel, okay, I need to split this area or not. So this is mainly done they look at a lot of factors, but one main factor is the population change. So population can change drastically in an area over years, right? Because population density matters. Basically, the amount of people in one particular, like let's say 1 square foot or something of land will be different. For example, if you see, in Old Delhi, the population density is very high. There are just too many people living. In just even if you take a fixed amount of area, and now if you take the same fixed amount of area and you go to another place, say Kerala, you will see that the population density there is very less. So you will find only very less number of people living in one fixed amount of area. But if you take the same amount and go to Old Delhi, you will find way more people staying there, right? So then in Kerala, in that fixed amount, maybe one constituency would be enough. Maybe you might that amount might not be enough for might be too small for a constituency. So when you make a constituency in Kerala, you might have to make like a larger area. But in Old Delhi, this area has so many people. So this has to be a constituency, or maybe even two constituencies, right? Because of the amount of people. So the population density, the population keeps changing in certain areas, right? That is why you need the delimitation commission. Moving on, how many election commissioners are usually appointed in the Election Commission of India? 1, 2, 3, 4. Your time starts now. How many election commissioners are usually appointed in the Election Commission of India? Right, so the answer is 3. Okay, so how is it 3? There is one chief election commissioner and then 2 other election commissioners. This is how the system usually works. Where had we studied this? Yeah, usually the commission comprises one chief election commissioner and 2 election commissioners. Okay, so this is how you have 3 election commissioners. Moving on, what is the significance of the nota? First of all, you guys tell me what is the full form of nota. Your time starts now. We just saw it, right? Okay, so full form of nota is, like I said, none of the above. Basically, just think of, you have 4 options and sometimes the 4th option given is none of the above, right? So this is the full form of nota. What is the significance of the nota option if it receives the highest number of votes? Okay, So now think, so basically what was nota option for? If you experience dissatisfaction. So if the people, so you have two parties, imagine you have two parties to vote for and you feel that none of these parties are good enough. So you give nota. Now if nota has the highest number of votes, there is no party but nota is the one that has the highest number of votes. Then what do? Candidate with the second highest votes wins. Candidate with the third highest votes wins. Election is declared invalid and fresh elections are conducted. The candidate receiving the highest number of votes excluding nota wins. Your time starts now. Basically, if most of the people give none of the above, it's actually a very concerning situation for the country, I would say. But yeah, who wins? Who do you think wins? Right, so the answer is that the candidate receiving the highest number of votes excluding nota wins. So nota is not, they do not look at the number of nota votes you have. I mean, they will, but that's not, it does not do anything to the election. It does not impact election results, right? So nota is just for the people, to the election commission to understand, just sort of take a survey of, whether the people are dissatisfied with what they have, with the people that they have and things like that. Other than that, it doesn't really have a lot of significance, nota, in that sense. So that's just the significance of nota that there is. It does not affect election results, right? That's what you need to understand. The election results, it just the person, whatever party has the highest number of votes excluding nota wins. So you see here, the candidate receiving the highest number of valid votes excluding nota is still declared the winner. Okay, it's just for, and it's also, see, it's the right of the voter, right? So see, I might want to vote, but if I find none of the parties contesting eligible enough, is it my fault? It's not really my fault, right? So I should have a right to say no, that I'm not going to vote for any of them. So it's important that I have that right? Moving on, which article of the Indian Constitution allows the Election Commission to conduct elections? Which article allows the Election Commission to conduct elections? Article 324, Article 356, Article 370, Article 368. This is very easy question, something that we just, I think it's similar to a question that we saw, but yeah, anyway, your time starts now. The answer is Article 324. Okay. So this is, we had just gone through it earlier also. This comes under the Article 324 of the Constitution. Okay. With that, we are done with the example session under Election Commission. Okay. So we have discussed quite some questions, and then obviously we will also have an assignment. So this is all that we had under the election. So under elections, basically what you have is the election commission, election commissioner, and then the election commission's functions, and then the EVM political parties, then different types of political parties, national and state parties, delimitation commission, then qualification of voters, and nota vote, none of the above vote, basically nota. And also prohibition of campaign during the last 48 hours. This is a very small concept. And then other constitutional and non-constitutional bodies. This is all that you have under elections, the chapter elections. It's like I said, see, there might seem like there is a lot of content, but in terms of the theory that you have to study, there is not a lot. So it's pretty chill, not a lot to study in terms of the theory that you have. The chapter is pretty chill. Right, so that's about it that we have for the elections chapter. I think I hope you've liked this chapter. Now the next chapter that we'll be studying is a more generic chapter. We'll be studying about public health facilities, and another very important chapter that we'll be studying is marginalization. So public health facilities and marginalization are two other chapters that we'll be covering next. So until then, goodbye, have a good time.